Hello guys, today I want us to talk about patience, which is a very crucial aspect in your trading journey. In fact, if you never get to a point where you've truly mastered patience, then it's very difficult for you to become consistently profitable in the markets. I'd personally argue that there's a direct correlation between patience versus your chances of succeeding in the markets, such that if you have a lot of patience, there's a high chance you might succeed long term. But if you're a very impatient person, then I think you will struggle a lot. So it's inevitable that every trader should understand this aspect very well, and of course know how you can build it if it's something that you don't have. If I currently reflect at my trading journey, I think patience has played a very key role for me to get where I am. Because if I look at my trading before versus now, of course I've changed a lot of things, but one of the things I've fully mastered in the recent years is the ability to just sit down on my hands and don't do anything in the markets. And the more I wait, the more I find those quality trades. And on the other hand, if I was an impatient person trying to trade every other time and not having that ability to just wait, then I believe I'd still be struggling with a lot of back and forth in my trading. And a good example is my scaled up account, which I think I'm almost hitting 1 year with, because I got funded with a 50K account last year. I showed you guys here on YouTube, and that account was scaled up. And on that specific account, I think it's almost hitting a year. I also got funded in other accounts months later. In those other accounts, I think in the next 3 or 4 months, they'll also be hitting a year. So I've traded these accounts for over 1 year consistently, doing multiple payouts and not blowing them. And if you know the prop firm stats, many traders after getting funded don't even get to a payout. And those who do a payout, maybe they do 1 or 2 payouts before they blow an account. So how am I able to just hold and have these accounts consistently, making payouts and still not blowing them carelessly? It's simply because I've mastered the ability to just wait in the markets for the right opportunity. Now, it's important to know that patience is something you can develop. You don't necessarily need to start trading, already having this quality inside you or something. I tend to disagree with people who say things like, if you don't have things like patience, don't even think of starting trading. But you see, if you look at it, most of us, there are many qualities like patience, discipline. When I started trading 6-7 years ago, I didn't have these things naturally. But over time, I was able to grow and develop myself into having these things. So in my own opinion, even if you lack these qualities, it's still possible for you to work around developing these things until you fully grow into being that trader who has these qualities. So in this video, I'll break down patience from 2 different angles. I'll first explain to you why I think you need patience. So I'll take you through the reasons as to why. If you don't have patience, I believe you'll struggle. Then I'll end by explaining to you some of the ways that you can develop and master yourself around until you fully grow into that patient trader. Now let's start looking at reasons as to why you need patience in your trading. The first, which is the most common, is trading is a skill. And developing a skill requires time. If you're someone who's just starting trading, this is how I break down the process of you developing the trading skill. The first will be the learning process. And the learning process is where you acquire the right knowledge. You understand the concepts of trading. You basically familiarize yourself with different things that help you to study the markets, right? So that's just you acquiring the knowledge. Then the second thing is practice. Once you've already acquired the trading knowledge, you'll need to do a lot of practice for you to now try and synchronize yourself with mastering these things. It's one thing to learn the theory, it's another thing to be very good at it. It's one thing to learn the theory, it's another thing to be good at it and be able to execute the ideas that you've learned theoretically, but now in the market. And the last stage is the stage which I call learning from experience. Once you've acquired the knowledge, then you've been practicing, there's a stage where you'll now need that experience for you to be in the markets by yourself, take those trades, learn from them, make mistakes where necessary, do a lot of journaling, and eventually get to a point where your experience builds you into becoming a better version of yourself in the markets. And it's this experience that helps you to fully develop your mindset, your psychology, and you fully grow into being an independent trader in the market where you can handle yourself very well, without someone telling you do this, be disciplined. That's something that no one can teach you. You only develop that through experience. So all these things are what will take you to develop your trading skill. And as you can see, you can't do these things within just 1-2 months, not even 6 months. So the whole idea is for you to fully grow into mastering and developing your trading skill. It will take time, hence you need to be patient. Second reason as to why you need patience in the market is even after developing your edge, for you to get those quality setups or the high probability type of trades, then you need to wait because the market doesn't present these opportunities on a daily basis. There will be days or weeks, depending with your trading style, where there will be nothing for you to do in the market. So you need to be able to just sit on your hands and not execute. So again, if you're an impatient person, instead of waiting, you'll probably be trying to force setups in the market. And when you force setups, you take bad trades and then you take bad losses and you remain in cycles of blowing accounts, being in drawdown, but you don't have that progressive positive performance in the market. The third reason as to why you need to be patient is it will take you time to build your trading income, your trading capital, or your trading portfolio, just depending on how you want to look at it. After developing an edge, your trading income is just a function of the capital you are trading. 3% on 100K is $3,000, 3% on a 500K is $15,000, and the math continues. So if your edge is in place, the next step for you is to focus on scaling that capital. Scaling capital, whether you like it or not, will take some time. If you're using your personal capital again, there's a high chance you'll have to save up for years. You'll have to probably do multiple jobs, invest, whatever it is for you to grow that capital slowly by slowly. Even if you're compounding, it will still take some time. If you're using the prop firm route, it will still take time for you to pass the challenges. Sometimes you'll fail the challenges. And another factor which many people don't consider is sometimes you'll face unforeseen challenges in your trading journey. A good example, last year, you see I got a ban from Alpha Capital, just on the verge of getting funded 200K. So you see, even if I started my year with goals to have a certain amount of funding by the end of the year, already that's a challenge which came along the way and it destroyed my whole plans. These are things which are unforeseen, but they can happen sometimes. I recently shared with you my Q1 performance, and you also saw I made a couple of mistakes. And because of the mistakes I made, I prolonged passing one of my challenges, which is still in phase 2. So these are some of the things which might be unforeseen, but you need to know sometimes they might happen. Then you end up taking more time than you thought. So whether you like it or not, again, you just have to be patient. If you're trying to force your way up within 2 months, 3 months, very, very fast, get that capital faster, things don't always work like that. Now, I've given you 3 solid reasons as to why it's very necessary for you to be patient in order for you to stand a chance in the market. So now I want us to look at the how. How do you become or develop yourself into being that patient trader in the markets? So there are different ways to look at it, but I'll try to categorize them into 2. And the first one will be by creating a system. Basically, traders who don't have a system don't even have a playbook which tells them when to take a trade and when not to take a trade. And if you lack a playbook, you might find yourself taking poor quality trades every other time. You keep executing on a daily basis. Also, traders who don't have a system have not interacted with their data enough to understand why they need to be avoiding being in the market at certain times. This is why I think even if I give you my playbook, but you don't understand why I've put some rules like don't trade during NFP or something, you might still find yourself being tempted to take setup because you're not the one who's taken time to build that system. You've not interacted with the data enough for you to understand why are we not trading during certain conditions. So it's one thing to have a trading system, it's one thing to have a strategy, it's another for you to be in full synchrony with it. So I think having a playbook enables you to know this week I can trade, this week I can't trade. When I see these conditions, I can take a trade. When I see these conditions, I can't take a trade. And therefore, you're able to become patient. Not just because of the playbook, but because you also understand why you can't take certain trades. When you build your system, you probably see whenever I take these type of trades, I end up hitting a lot of stop losses. So you have a very, very deep sort of conviction within you that if I see this trade, however good it looks, I know it's a bad trade. So you don't take it because you are relying on a system. But if you're trying just to be patient based on your own intuition, today you're just telling yourself, I'll be patient, I'll wait, but there's nothing like a guideline that you're following which is backing you up in the market, it's easy for you to end up still being emotional and taking bad trades at the wrong time. I always say the more you trade, you need to get to a point where your experience helps you understand the cost of your mistakes. So for me, again, I've got to a point where the cost of impatience or the cost of indiscipline is very expensive because it makes you not pass your prop firm challenge. It makes you lose that account or blow that account. It makes you miss out on those profitable trades. If I become impatient and I take those bad trades, they are taking me into a drawdown. So you get to a point where through experience, the cost of impatience has become very expensive because you understand it will keep you in cycles. It will be the reason as to why you won't get that payout. It will be the reason as to why you'll be in drawdown for months. And when you get to such a point, your subconscious automatically forces you to be disciplined and just wait for the quality trades. But I think this only comes with experience. It's very difficult for someone to teach you how to do this if you don't have the experience, because it comes from a point of view making so many mistakes until you can't see yourself repeating the same things over and over. There's nothing as bad as you finishing your month, and then you look at your system and you see this month I could have done 8 or 9%. But because you were impatient and forcing trades, you went into a drawdown, and now when you find the profitable trades, the best that you did was recover the drawdown. So you close your month at break break even and maybe you could have done 7%. So when you get to such a point, you train your subconscious to become patient as a result of fully being in synchrony with what you are doing in the markets versus the cost of you not being disciplined. The second and last way that you can use to develop your patience is something that I highly recommend. In fact, it's something very important, which in my opinion is less communicated out there, which is simply you creating an environment that allows you to be patient. Something I've learned as I grow in my trading is you can literally create an environment that allows you to be patient in the markets so that you don't feel the need to keep taking trades every other time, every other day, and you don't end up forcing opportunities where there are none. The first and most practical way for you to develop patience is to make sure trading is not your only source of income, or as I can put it, try to stabilize other sources of income as well. Most people find themselves impatient because you're trying to force that trade, because you're depending on that trade for you to pay your monthly bills urgently. So in the process, even when there is no opportunity, you still find yourself thinking that maybe I can take a trade here and make some money. If you had other stable sources of income, or maybe you're still working your job or doing other businesses at the same time, even if you go for a month and finish at break even, you won't feel that frustration because your life is still able to move forward normally with or without the profits in the markets. Second reason why I recommend you to have other sources of income is you need to get your life occupied with other things. You just can't be sitting in your house in front of your computer, the whole day waiting for a setup. Mentally, I think that's not even a very healthy way to live. And most importantly, the more you just sit and idle around the market, the more likely you are to execute when you shouldn't. But you see, if you have other engagements going on, you're able to do other things as you follow up with the market. So your life is still able to move, but when you find a setup, you can take it. The third and final thing you can do to create a good environment is scaling up your capital. You see, when you have large capital, it's easy for you to be patient. If you finish your month with only one setup alone, and that setup gives you maybe a 3R, and that 3R is 3% for you. 3% on a 200K is still $6,000. Now for you, that's a slow month because you only had one setup, but you see, you still made some significant income. On the other hand, if you have a very small account, as I say, you feel the need to keep executing every time. Because on $1,000, if you do 3%, that's barely $30. Many traders lack these things in place, hence they struggle to be patient. Myself, where my trading is right now, I've understood so much the importance of these things, and this is where I'm able to be patient. Sometimes I get questions like, Rika, are you able to wait for a whole 3 weeks without executing a trade? But you see, the funny thing is, I don't even know that I waited for 3 weeks, or rather, it doesn't hit me on a daily basis that I'm waiting for 3 weeks. I'm just there going about my life, doing other things, being very busy, still having other sources of income at the same time. Then when I find my opportunity in the market, I can take it. And also I have confidence from my playbook that I should only take these types of trades. So if I can be honest with you, by the time I was taking 3 weeks to find that trade, I wasn't sitting there in front of my computer every day waiting for a trade. So as a trader, I want to challenge you to focus as much as possible to develop these things. Try scaling up your capital. It will ease the burden for you. You'll feel less pressure. Try having other sources of income at the same time. And number 3, make sure your life is engaged. Don't just sit in front of your computer. It will become very easy for you to be patient and feel as if your life is still moving on well, even if you have a negative month, even if you have a break-even month. And this is how I'm personally able to go for a whole quarter, doing very slow percentages in some months. Then I have big months where I do big percentages. Because on a monthly basis, I'm not just sitting there and tying my life to wait for me having a big month in the market. So I hope you've learned something in this video. I hope you've got some practical steps that you can use to master and develop yourself into fully becoming that patient trader. Feel free to drop your thoughts as well in the comment section. Otherwise, I'll see you next time, guys. Peace out.